In this week's article on the Oxford property market, I look at how the coronavirus will affect this market in the coming months and years, with the backdrop of the ensuing economic challenges, with some thoughts and conclusions that might surprise some people. What's next for the Oxford property market? There is no doubt that the coronavirus will affect this property market, but just how? The ensuing economic challenges are going to impact the Oxford and UK property market, yet no one knows the real answer. The newspapers eulogize different options, but that's all they are. They're opinions, and everybody's got one. The truth of the matter is, we don't know and won't know for another few months at least, if not more. There have been some outstanding government supportive measures, both for tenants, landlords, home buyers and sellers, including a pause on evictions for tenants and for landlords and homeowners. Mortgage payment deferments, stamp duty reductions to make buying a home cheaper, and whilst these are only temporary, they have done their job, meaning there is a good level of activity in the Oxford property market. A lot of that is pent-up demand from a couple of years of uncertainty because of Brexit. Also, we had the general election in late 2019, so there have been so many reasons for people to sit on their hands. At the beginning of 2020, it was like a water hose ready to burst with the Boris bounce in January and February. Then, just as things were beginning to go in the Oxford property market, we had everything freeze up for months during lockdown. Since lockdown has been lifted, the Oxford property market is open once again for business, and there is unquestionably some impressive activity both in the sales and rental markets. So, back to the original question, where are we going? I think we will see a subtle change to where people want to live because of the pandemic. People working from home has shown that the need to be in these big cities has reduced, and as employees have realised, they can work very, very efficiently from home. Plus, they are happier and have a better work-life balance. Their employers are also happy as they get more out of their staff and can reduce their costly office footprint in the cities. The same goes for Oxford tenants, as they are wanting more from their rental homes. Three trends I've noticed is there's a greater demand for property with gardens, greater demand for Oxford landlords who will accept pets as they now can have them as they work from home, and finally, tenants' willingness to pay top dollar for top of the range properties. Whilst more basic and uncared for properties without all the bells and whistles need to go for a discount. There certainly has been a flight to the quality. Yet what worries me is the fundamental future uncertainty in 2021 and beyond. What will things look like, say in spring 2021, when the stamp duty reductions are phased out? Any property sold needs to be completed by the end of March 2021 to take advantage of the holiday, meaning you need to have sold your Oxford property by November 2020 at the very latest to ensure your property purchase and sale deal goes through in time, as it's taken on up to 17 weeks between sale agreed and completion. This is where the difference between a great solicitor, brilliant estate agent and awesome mortgage broker compared to the average ones will show. Good ones, when all three are working together, you can get the sale through in 6 to 8 weeks, not the national average of 17 weeks. Meaning if you're cutting it fine, you might not be able to take advantage of the tax saving in spring. Give me a call if you want me to tell you who the best of the best in Oxford are, just to ensure that you don't lose out on these tax savings. The value of the average Oxford home currently stands at £478,000. So what is going to happen to the Oxford property market? It really depends on the economy as a whole, and of course the property market is a large part of that. I know one thing that buy-to-let landlords and home buyers don't like is ambiguity, and the British housing market has always lived and breathed on emotion and sentiment. People will only buy and sell property and borrow the money to make those transactions happen when they feel good. Are all these things like stamp duty holidays just putting off the inevitable? Are we heading for the mother of all property crashes? Well, let me put sentiment and opinion aside for a second and look at the simple facts. We have an increasing population, yet we don't build enough houses. Since 1995, we have built on average 150,000 properties per year. The Barker report said in 2004, we needed to 240,000 a year to satisfy annual demand for new homes. And whilst the number of new homes built in the UK last year rose by 1% to a 13-year high, only 160,000 homes were built. That means over the last 25 years, the difference between actual homes built and the target set out in the report, we have an inbuilt shortage of 2.2 million homes, meaning since the millennium, property values in Oxford have increased by 164%. Other factors have contributed to that. The average age of a person leaving their parents' home in the UK is 24 years old, and that has been dropping for a few years, meaning more homes are required. People are also living longer. In 2000, the average person lived until they were 77. Now it's 81. That doesn't sound a lot until you consider for each additional year the average person lives in the UK, we need an additional 356,000 homes. Finally, we have got immigration. In the year ending March 2019, 600,000 people moved to the UK, 385,000 left, meaning a net increase of 227,000 people, a requirement of 100,000 homes to house them in 1 year alone. All those factors in themselves mean we have more demand for Oxford property than we have supply, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Property markets are driven, like all markets, by supply and demand. So I believe Oxford property values can rise in the long term. The question is whether Oxford people will have the sentiment and the confidence to borrow money on a mortgage and invest in Oxford property. Yet at the moment, with ultra low interest rates, borrowing money to buy a home has never been so cheap. And if you're in it for the long term, what you should be with a property, then I think it's great news. One piece of other great news is that mortgage lenders are willing to lend up to 90% loan to value mortgages for first-time buyers, and in some cases 95%, albeit with a lot of strings. Yet this is a good sign, as the banks and the building societies wouldn't be lending at these levels if they were too scared. Investing in property, be it for yourself to live in or buy to let, is a long-term game. We might see an uplift in prices in the short term because of demand mentioned above, but then again, we might see a dip in 2021, yet again for the reasons mentioned, until we start to build new homes to the scale of 300,000 plus a year, something that has never been achieved since 1969, the long-term picture appears to be good. Be you an Oxford landlord, an Oxford house seller, or a buyer, you have to be a lot more strategic and thoughtful about what you're going to do. If you'd like to pick my brains, drop me a message on any social media or pick up the phone, okay? These are my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts for the future of the Oxford property market.